Hello and welcome back to 80 English Tutorials, and in this particular video we will be concerned with Sonnet 116 written by William Shakespeare. So generally, as per my pattern that I use for ISC classes 11 and 12, is I always try to make a one video which has everything, but because Sonnet 116 in itself a very lengthy poem, lengthy in terms of explanation, that is why I'm going to make it in two parts. First part, again the form, structure, everything, introduction part, and the second part is line by line explanation. So after watching this part you can directly visit my playlist for 11th ISC, and you can go through the second part of this poem also. This part will have the introductory part. So let's get started. Sonnet 116 by William Shakespeare. So this is the picture of William Shakespeare, and he's not new to you all. You already have studied many plays written by him. You are studying Macbeth or Tempest or whatever you have studied, and you have already studied Julius Caesar or Merchant of Venice, whatever was in your course. So Shakespeare is not new to you all. So I'm not going to introduce you to William Shakespeare, rather I'm going to tell you the background, that how these sonnets were written and what was his idea of writing these sonnets. So the picture that you can see on the screen right now is not of William Shakespeare, noted. I'll just tell you whose picture is it. So Shakespeare wrote two narrative poems, 154 sonnets, and 37 plays. He wrote 36 completed plays, but while he was writing the last 37th play, in between only he died and he could not complete the last play, the 37th play. But let's take it as 37 plays only. So in total he wrote 37 and a half play, you can say. Then let's talk about 154 sonnets. So he wrote 154 sonnets primarily to explore the themes of love, beauty, time, and mortality, often through the lens of a complex relationship with a lad, that is a young man, probably the Earl of Southampton. You can see the picture on the left, and here this is Henry Wriothesley, the third Earl of Southampton, for whom he had feelings, and for whom he goes on writing this sonnet 1 to 126, and the sonnet which we are going to study, that is sonnet 116, is also written for him. Probably, again, we haven't find this on any text or content, but it's just an interpretation. Some scholars believe that it was written for a young man, some scholars believe that it was completely his imagination, but still we never know. It was probably, emphasized on the word probably, the Earl of Southampton. Sonnet 1 to 126. So sonnet 1 to 126 were written for Earl of Southampton, and sonnet 127 to 154, that is rest of the sonnets after 127, were written for a dark lady. These sonnets were written and published in 1609. So let me tell you first of all what is a sonnet. Sonnet is a 14-line song or a poem. Okay, it's always 14 lines and only 14 lines. You can make the changes in the stanza, but it's of 14 lines only. And this is what Shakespeare done. Shakespeare, what did he do? He changed the pattern of the stanzas, and therefore he wrote he wrote he I mean he his sonnets get another name as Shakespearean sonnets, and the traditional or the Italian sonnets were the traditional ones. So let's get started. Let's know the difference between what Shakespeare had done and what was originally the traditional one. The variation of the sonnet form that Shakespeare used comprised of three quatrains. Quatrains are the stanzas of 4 lines each. So a quatrain make a stanza of 4 lines, and three quatrains, so 3 into 4 is 12. So you got 12 lines from here. 2 lines are still left to be 14 lines. And a concluding couplet. Couplet is a stanza of 2 lines. So you got 12 over there, you got 2 over here, so you got 14 lines, and this is how 14 line song is being written in Shakespearean sonnet. The rhyming scheme was A B A B C D C D E F E F and G G. G G is the last rhyming couplet. Then, and this form, that is three quatrains, then a couplet, and that has the rhymes in the rhyming scheme as A B C D C D E F E F and G G. This is all called Shakespearean sonnet or the English sonnet form. Although others had used it before him, but he popularized it to a next level. This different sonnet structure allows for more space to be devoted to the building up of the subject or problem than the Italian or traditional or Petrarchan form, and is followed by just 2 lines to conclude or resolve the poem in a rhyming couplet. The traditional sonnet had an octave and a sestet. Octave, again a stanza of 8 lines, and sestet a stanza of 6 lines. So 8 plus 6, 14. Here also you got 14 lines, but it was very difficult for the poet and for the readers to understand that where goes the problem, where is the answer, and where the answer is being discussed. So Shakespeare made it easy. He, let's say for just an example, in the first stanza he introduces the problem. Second stanza he finds out the way. Third stanza he gives the way out in open, and in the last couplet he concludes everything. So this created a sort of systematic structure rather than just an octave and just an sestet, so confusing. So therefore Shakespearean sonnet becomes famous. The traditional sonnet had an octave and a sestet. The octave often introduces a poem or question, while the sestet provides a resolution or shift in perspective known as volta. So the shift in perspective is known as volta. The rhyme scheme is A B B A B B A in the octave, and C D E C D E or C D C D C D in the sestet. So there was no fixed this rhyme scheme for the second stanza. They could have used any. Also, I haven't underlined these rhyme schemes and all these things about traditional or Petrarchan sonnets, because this is not what we are going to learn about. The things which we are going to learn about, which are of our use, I have underlined them and changed the font colors of that so that it can be come into your notice very easily. So I hope that you are now clear with the difference between Shakespearean sonnet and traditional sonnet, and we are particularly going to focus on Shakespearean sonnet. So the main point of difference is traditional sonnet had an octave and a sestet, that is 8 plus 6, 14, and Shakespearean sonnet had 3 quatrains and a couplet, that is 3 into 4, 12, plus 2, 2, plus 2, 14. So again 14 lines there also, 14 lines there also, but the difference is in the stanza distribution. And also Shakespearean sonnet was a new version, and the Petrarchan one was the old version. I hope all these things are clear. Now themes love, marriage, loyalty, eternity of literature. Themes, you can note it down somewhere here, and in the second part when we'll do the poem, then I will explain you the themes, because I always believe that first we should read the poems and then we could conclude the themes. Central idea: if two people love truly to each other, then their love cannot change or fail. And this is the central idea that you are going to get it in the sonnet. Now in the second stanza, in the second part, we will be reading about the poem in detail, and that will be a quite lengthy one, lengthy video. It can be, right, maybe of 20 to 25 minutes. So be prepared, and this is one of the most important chapter from your 11th point of view, because obviously it's written by Shakespeare. In itself it makes it more complex and more important. So therefore you have to be full attentive while I'll be giving you the dictations and notes and everything. Always, also, whenever I dictate you something, the notes or whatever I say something, if you feel at all that they are important, or they could be used in your answers, the words, anything, you have to note it down. Correct? So here I end up my part 1. I hope that you all know that in what context he wrote all these sonnets. What is a sonnet? What is the difference between traditional and patriarchal, traditional or patriarchal and Shakespearean sonnet? So all these things have been discussed. So now the purpose of this video is fulfilled, and the second video is coming out soon. Do visit it and post your doubts in the comment section. I will try to answer it at the soonest. Thank you so much.